Hi, Jack Russell here with theapplegeeks.com. I'm here at SPX, or Small Press Expo 2017. They specialize in indie comic books, cartooning, visual novels, art books, and just general merch, and it's been a really great time. I talked to a bunch of independent artists and interviewed them, so here are the conversations that I had.
Hi, yeah. So Rejected Princesses is me covering a badass woman of history that almost nobody's ever heard of, like Genghis Khan's great-granddaughter Kutulun, who had one simple rule. If you wanted to marry her, you had to best her in wrestling, but if you lost, you owed her 10 horses. She ended up unmarried with 10,000 horses. She shows up in the Netflix Marco Polo series, because Marco Polo did actually meet her, but they screw up her character, give her a stupid love plot, and like portray her as this waifishly thin person, even though Marco Polo was like, no, she was a hefty lady. So I draw her like that, and I draw all of the people that I research very thoroughly, sort of in a quasi-Disney-esque style. I worked in animation for about 10 years. I know that none of these are ever going to get their stories told, which is a shame because I love their stories and I want everybody to know about them.
That's very cool. So what was the specific inspiration for Rejected Princesses?
I had a couple. I had an awesome mom who, could have used more role models like this as a kid. But if there was one inciting incident, I worked on How to Train Your Dragon 2, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I was not happy with how some of the female characters were treated in that, and I tried changing things from the inside, and it didn't work. And I'd been there for quite some time, and I'm like, it's time to be a carpenter instead of a tool. And so I struck out. I understand that it's a lot to ask of any movie studio to put everybody's livelihoods on the line to make some movie that you think might be good, but you're willing to bet like everybody's livelihoods, and like that's not fair to ask of anybody. I'm only one person. I only need to support myself. I can take this risk and I can make this bet.
Well, that's very insightful, Jason. Thank you. Where can people find your work?
RejectedPrincesses.com. I'm also on Tumblr as Rejected Princesses, Instagram Rejected Princesses, and Twitter as Jason Porath, because Rejected Princesses is too long.
So I'm here with Swamphouse Press, and I'm speaking to Brendan and Mary Kat, and it's really interesting. It's a D&D, but not to be reductive, but D&D for dummies type thing, where it's really geared towards casual people and people who really are finding like a high barrier to entry for the game. So I wanted to give them a chance to speak about it. The floor is yours.
So in the community of people who play D&D, there's a tradition called Homebrew, where you like change the rules or make your own rules. And we've been playing a sort of homebrew system of D&D for a while, and we really liked it, and so we wanted to sort of codify it and put it down in a way that other people could share. So this is a way of building characters and stories for a tabletop role-playing game that really focuses on being able to start quickly, especially if you've never played a tabletop RPG before. And it's designed to keep the gameplay moving and to keep a focus on narrative building.
Yeah, we're really big fans of like movies and of TV shows, and so when we were thinking about how to make D&D approachable, we thought about, well, what makes a really good like one-season TV show, like what makes a good anthology, what makes a good movie. And so what we did was we chose aspects of D&D and aspects of other systems like Cthulhu and Fate, and we combined them to make this booklet for both players and dungeon masters to say, okay, come up with your idea of a story, and then these are things that will help guide you through aspects of that story.
Probably my favorite thing about this system, which is something that I haven't really seen anywhere else, is a thing called friendship points. And so if you roll really badly, but you're trying to do something that's like super cool or important for the narrative, another player can roll and give you those points so you can still do the thing you want to do, but then they have to subtract those points from the next time they roll. So it really is focused on like communal and community storytelling.
Very cool. It sounds like it's like no one gets left behind. Kind of like Mario Kart, where they like let you, the last person always has a chance, you know? It's very cool. What is your guys' background? Do you guys illustrate? Do you guys do game design, or?
I don't know, what is
Well,
a background?
so neither. Well, both of us are sort of like literature fans and like movie fans, but we didn't specialize in game design. Our roommate is a game designer, though. So when we were thinking about it, we were thinking about like listening to her process and how she designs games. But mostly we just watch a lot of movies, and Mariel's really good at InDesign, so we made it a Z.
There you go. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this or any other thing, your work in particular?
Just that we really love playing RPGs with people, and we hope that if people at this, SPX buy the system, that they have a good time playing with their friends, because we think that's what it's all about.
Yeah, we really hope this is something that is actually like useful and maybe a little inspiring for people to get some friends together one night and just do the thing.
Yeah.
That's really great, and thank you for the insight. Where can people find your work?
We have a Gumroad that is linked to from our Twitter. So if you look up Swamphouse Press on Twitter, that's us.
Yeah. We're also on Facebook and also on Tumblr at the same username.
Sure. So Liminality, this is part one of a two-part series, and it's a poetry sci-fi book about passing through liminal space and identity and grief, and like how that transforms you, basically.
Very cool. What specifically inspired Liminality?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I am really into sci-fi stories, and I'm really interested in sci-fi stories where the sci-fi technology part is the set dressing and not like the thrust of the story, and it's more about like the human people, or the not human in this case, but the people. And a lot about like my own like gender experiences and things like that. Yeah.
I'm very curious about the art style in this. Are there any influences, like art-wise?
Yeah, I wanted to make mark making a really important focus. I did it digitally, but I work with like tools that are more textured digitally. I was looking at a lot of like fashion designers actually, so like Sandra Buckland and like this really like intense like structural knits, and so like knitting and like vinyl were like the two like textures I was focused on in the book.
That's very cool. Thank you for the insight. Where can people find your work?
My website is eshiel.com, so that's eshiel.com, and I'm on Twitter at ehetja, which is just EHETJA. And I also have a podcast you can probably look up pretty easily called Drawing a Dialogue that I do with Kathy G. Johnson that's about like comics in historical and educational contexts.
Hi. Yeah, basically the Squid Maids is my first light novel. Its official title, I asked for Squid Maids, but I didn't know I'd become one. And it all basically started out because I started drawing fake light novel covers as like a goofs and as commissions a few months ago. And my friends were talking about maid outfits in Splatoon, and I decided to, in the Splatoon games like little postcard drawing system, draw a fake light novel cover with like, about asking for Squid Maids. But Nintendo took it down because they saw the words "a new light novel" and they said, "Okay, that's promotion. You can't do that." And I tried to say, "Well, no, it's just a goof. I draw fake covers." But I went, "All right, fine. I'll prove you right." So I decided to actually write the book in about a week. So, like, I wrote 20,000 words, almost out of spite, but eventually it turned into like genuine inspiration. And I made like a 64-page book with illustrations in the style of like the Splatoon pixel art. And now it's my first published book, and it's out, and I'm very excited. And like in just a few days, it's like now the top-rated book on itch.io. And I used to be a game designer and an artist and a writer and did a lot of things, but I guess I'll try the author thing now because I really love this. And like making light novels seems to be like it's just a good combination of writing and art that I think I can actually do. So it's pretty exciting.
That's very cool, and I really love the backstory behind this piece. So you mentioned that you're independent, and this is your first time at SPX. How's your experience been so far?
It's been pretty amazing. Like, I've never actually been at a comic convention from this side of the table, so it's been super cool to just like have actual art stuff and like sell things. And there's just like so many like very nice people. I can't wait to actually have a moment to like step out and like check out the stuff of my fellow exhibitors. But it's just amazing, and I just love like seeing people's faces light up when they like look at my stuff or the stuff of like my friends, and it's just like it's been a great experience. And I kind of just want to keep doing this now, and it's like hopefully this will work out for me in terms of like sales and stuff, so I can keep affording to just fly to these things because I think I'm hooked.
Well, that's really great, and I hope it pans out for you, and it's really great that you found your new calling. So, where can people find your work?
I'm on Twitter at Zandra Vandra. I'm always on Twitter unless I'm sleeping, and you'll know because I say goodnight every day. And otherwise, probably the best way to see me and my stuff would be on Patreon at patreon.com/ZandraVandra. And otherwise, I'm also a streamer and a speedrunner. I'm on twitch.tv/ZandraVandra. And I archive like stuff like that along with like game design analysis videos at youtube.com/ZandraVandra. So basically just search for Zandra Vandra and you'll find me.
There you go. Thank you very much for your time.
So debuting at SPX 2017 is Restless Minds Nightmares, the third volume in my Restless Minds series, published or self-published by my imprint, Upper Mind Inc. It's 10 different artists, illustration and comics featuring artists and their nightmares, standalone or part of a series. The first one was anxiety, second one imagination. Now we're wrapping it up with kind of the darker part of the mind. And it just got fully funded on Kickstarter, so I was able to bring the book and debut it here at XPX for everyone to read. I was in a college class and they asked me to do my own comic for our final project, and had a lot of anxiety about it. So I'm like, what's the best way to put my comics out there while getting rid of my anxiety? So do an anthology, surround yourself with friends, and do a comic and put it out there. And it's kind of been that way for the last 3 years. So every year I gather my friends, I gather people from the internet, I do a comic, surround myself with them, put it in a book, and put it out there. So yeah, they can find my work at uppermindinc.com or Instagram, Twitter at uppermindinc.
So I'm here with Shan Murphy, and this particular piece caught my eye. It's called The Longest Monday, a zine of nasty boys, and it's got Garfield in all sorts of positions, and it's really awesome. I really dig it, and I just wanted to give them the floor to describe it to you.
Okay, so back in the spring, I was drawing a bunch of Garfields from memory, and I just kept creating these monstrosities. So I kept drawing them, and I ended up drawing a lot of them, so they seem fitting for a zine that horrifies and pleases people.
So you mentioned you were independent, but also a freelancer. Could you describe like a little bit of your background?
So I graduated from the New Hampshire Institute of Art in 2017. I've done some work for the AV Club, Boom Studios, and a couple of other clients. So I do a lot of comic work, writing work, color work, but in my free time I just love drawing strips and autobio comics. So I'm Acorn Friend on Twitter, acorn.friends on Instagram, and I have a website, shanmurphy.com.
So I'm here with Sarah Burns, and I came across this amazing fanzine called Shrekless. It is a Shrek fanzine. I wanted to give them a chance to talk about it a little bit.
So I was going back and forth talking to somebody about a Shrek-themed restaurant that had like pun-based names that was like a Chili's essentially restaurant, and it just like spiraled out of control until I was like, I have to like draw Shrek until I feel satisfied. So that's what came out of it, I guess.
That's awesome. What is sort of like your background in terms of art?
I went to the New Hampshire Institute of Art for illustration, and I graduated in 2014. I've been in the Dirty Diamonds anthology last year, but I mostly do self-published stuff. That's about it. Yeah. My Tumblr is amoeba-butter.tumblr.com, and then my Twitter and my Instagram are both amoeba-butter.
Hello, so Escapism has a collection of my comics, illustrations, sketches, character drawings, and some portraits, a lot of commercial work. It has a lot of diverse different art styles, and I wanted to show my variety of what I can produce. I work in graphic design, and I do cartooning on my own time.
Yeah, what I really appreciated was like the incredible variety of like the stuff I saw in there, which is really cool. So could you tell us a little bit about your background in terms of art and stuff like that?
Sure. I went to school to study like painting, theater, and literature. I ended up like taking a lot of classes in architectural drafting, and a lot of graphic design courses because I wanted to be commercially viable. There wasn't like a whole cartooning industry here. But I kept drawing on my own time, taking cartooning classes because that was my passion. So it all kind of coalesces together in like my art projects.
Oh my gosh, that's really awesome. Thank you for the insight. Where can people find your work?
On Instagram, I'm go by Sasha Kimia, or you can just look me up by Sasha Kimiatek, and you can see all my social media pop up there and my website.
Great, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of the show.
Thank you, you too.
Hey, I'm Josh, or Slime Jello. You can find me on Tumblr and Instagram as Slime Jello Comics, and on Twitter as just Slime Jello. My debut is just comics I've collected or created over the past 3 years online as skeleton sword fights. It's just a bunch of weird, non sequitur comics.
They're pretty silly.
Yeah.
Just you like just weird stuff.
Yeah, usually horror themed or space themed, and just otherwise weird themed. Just a lot of influences from like Adult Swim shows, and Invader Zim was a big one when I was in high school. Because that's where I started, was in high school making these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming.
I
Debuting at
yeah, that's about it. This is
Press
about
Expo.
first time tabling, so I'm really nervous. This has been a strange experience so far. Come check me out. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Megan. My debut zine here is called Rank, Profession, or Occupation, Excerpts from Britain's 1881 Census, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's an illustrated guide to some of the weird jobs that were listed on the 1881 Census, like, for example, sampler of drugs, drowner, fish bender, running about, goldfish catcher. It's a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Stephan. I'm debuting my dinosaur alphabet zine, A to Zuul. I'm hoping to bring more dinosaur content to SPX and have cute, historically accurate dinosaurs.
We could all use more dinosaurs in our lives.
Definitely.
Hey, I'm Erin. My debut zine is called Peafowl. It's about a bird, a peahen technically, who goes to a party dressed as a peacock, dressed in drag basically, and that's how they find out that they are trans. Semi-autobiographical.
Hi, I'm Christine. I don't exactly have a debut comic, but I do have debut stickers, if that counts for anything. I'm basically selling sticker sheets, dragons, animals, all sorts of stuff like that. Love Pokemon. I have lots of that, of different crossbreeds and variations, because one of my favorite things is character designs and seeing what traits work together to make a whole new unique thing.
A particular piece of note, they're all from VCU, so that they all illustrate and they're local, so that's really cool. Where can people find y'all's work?
You can find my work on Tumblr and Twitter and DeviantArt. My Tumblr is Magic Doogies Art, and my Twitter is Magic Doogies as well, at Fouron. And my DeviantArt is Procon8. And also, if you want to contact me for anything, you can just email me at fouronc@gmail.com.
Thanks, Christine. Erin?
My website is just my name altogether, Erin Bushnell, ErinBushnell. Has all the other links from there.
Thanks, Erin. Stephan?
And my social media is on Twitter. I am at StephXPM, STEPHXPM, and my portfolio website is Stephan/Dartevelle.com.
All right, finally, Megan, where can people find your work?
My work is at Instagram at the Mego, and on Twitter Meg_Emmy_James. And my comic Innsmouth is at SinkSwimPress.com.
Hi, my name is Felix Yin. The book is The Promise. It's in the vein of the creepy, eerie Tales from the Crypt stories, short stories. It is in an anthology, the Monsters and Other Scary Stuff anthology. That is available now through Wannabe Press. I wrote the story, and my friend Alex Bodner, he did the artwork. We had worked together previously on a story called The Damned, and we were invited to be part of this anthology that was kickstarted last year and just got released 2 weeks ago.
So you were telling me earlier about the origin story, basically, of The Promise, of you and your friend basically doing it either like in your garage or like over lunch or something. Would you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. I met Alex through my my wife, and he's a high school teacher. He teaches art, and he was kind of talking about wanting another creative outlet. So I had written a comic with a friend before, and I told him, I'll write a story for you if that's the problem, and not having a story. And that night I sent him 2 pitches, and in the next week or so I fleshed out the story for him, and then he did the artwork at nighttime and banged it out in about like a week and a half or so, and then we just self-published it. So.
Well, that's very cool. Thank you for your time, Felix. And could you tell the listeners where we can find your work?
Sure. You can go to www.rightyo.com, and the work's out there. And then you can follow me on Instagram at FILXY_art.
Hi, My Own Temple is a short fantasy comic by me, Moaz. It's sort of an adventure comic. I would say it's kind of inspired a little bit by Ursula K. Le Guin, if you're familiar with her fantasy work. It's about a father and a son, and the father is also the son's teacher, and they're both, wizards or magicians kind of thing. And they go on an adventure, they're investigating a mystery. I'd also say that I'm, a big fan of, Gene Wolfe, even though that doesn't really come across in this, because it's, I would say, appropriate for younger audiences. Gene Wolfe's a little more mature, and also I would say Hayao Miyazaki, though everyone kind of says that. So yeah.
So what inspired this work in particular?
I've always been interested in history, and the world of the book is a little bit based on, I would say, North and East Africa and the Mediterranean, and even sort of like my own heritage a little bit, since my parents are Sudanese. It's based a little bit on ancient Nubia and a little bit of ancient Egypt in there. I'm on www.moazelemam.com, has my portfolio and all sorts of links. Also have moazlog, MOAZLOG.tumblr.com, and I'm also on Twitter at Moaz, ATMOAZ, kind of a dumb joke. Yeah.
Hey there, so You Would Like Her is an illustrated poem written by a widower to his dead wife, and it culminates in the widower proposing to the new love of his life using his dead wife's ashes compressed into a diamond. I think there's kind of humor behind it. I don't know if you've heard about creating diamonds out of ashes, and it just seemed like the most terrible use to use one to propose to someone. Hi, so they can find it on willisnicolem.tumblr.com. That's WILLISNICOLEM.tumblr.com, and also you can follow me on twitter.com/willisnicolem.
Okay, so I've been doing sci-fi art kind of inspired by a lot of 70s book covers and artists like Moebius, and but also things in manga anime like Miyazaki and other people. So I sort of combine a lot of these things and create these very organic, spaceship-y. Sometimes they're a little less specific than that. They're very much they're drawings that are stream of consciousness. So sort of where one line takes me, the next line, we'll see where I go from there. So a lot of the forms just kind of grow very organically that way.
That's very cool. Is there anything in particular that influences your work?
I think that a lot of times it comes from I'm sort of trying to do a world building thing over time. So it does it pulls from a lot of these other artists that I enjoy, but it's also very much about what's the next little ship or the next device or the next form that I'm interested in. It's weird because when I first started doing them, they were much more abstract. I wasn't concerned about doing an object that could be in a place. But as I've gone along, I've gotten more I want to draw a cool outpost, or I want to draw a neat spaceship, or I want to draw something that can go in the water. Whatever kind of happened from there. Yeah, and I've been also working more figures and characters into the world.
Appreciate the insight very much. Gerald, where can people find your work?
I am at geraldie.com. I also have an Instagram, which is at geraldie. I'm one of those lucky people that my name is never taken. So if you just Google me, you'll find me pretty easily.
Hi there. So Vestigia is an 8-page zine completed in graphite that explores really the humanity's legacy, what we leave behind, how it relates to aspects of our lives, whether that's the interactions that we have with each other, the cities that we live in and why, the stories that we tell to help us through tough times, and what will we leave behind in the future when we are either gone or when we are perhaps exploring the stars. It's a little abstract. I really want the audience to glean from it what they will, and sort of bring in their own experiences to it. I completed it in the past week, and I've been thinking a lot about the weather, just all of the stuff that's been happening, the hurricanes, the fires, the earthquake in Mexico, all of that stuff around the world, really, and thinking about like how we interact with the planet we live on, and like, I guess, getting into like some kind of somber and a little bit sad thinking about, like, will we cause this planet to consume us, or will we find a way to live a kinder life in coexistence with the planet and perhaps leave it on better terms? My site is ashantifortson.com. So that is also my Twitter at Ashantifortson, ASHANTIFORTSON.
So I'm here with John Massantuno, and I picked up this piece called The Guest House, and it's very interesting. I wanted to give him a chance to talk about it, so you have the floor.
Thank you, Jack. This is a comic I made over the course of 2017. It takes as a starting point a poem by Rumi called The Guest House, that is about letting in all thoughts and feelings that you experience in life, letting them into yourself and treating them like a guest. And when I started to practice this, I was quite frightened by some of the results of practicing this way, and challenged, to the core of my being, the ways that I insulate myself from the world. So I made a comic about that.
So what is the inspiration or influence for this specific piece?
I would say Al Columbia, yeah.
Very cool. And what is your background as an artist?
I've been making comics for 5 years. I've been an organizer of Chicago Alternative Comics Expo for a couple of years and volunteered with that show. I live in Chicago, work as a designer.
Thank you for your time and all the insight. It's really great. Where can people find your work?
I have a website, drawdoer.com. Stop by anytime.
Great, thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of the show.
Thank you, Jack. You too.